Okay.
Today, my guest educator is Ginger Starling Ohlman. And I first met Ginger at Shaw High School where she was teaching Spanish. Seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
Time flies. Yes, it does.
Yeah. Well, Ginger, welcome, and I hope you are doing well. First of all, how's your golf game?
Oh, it ebbs and flows. Summertime, spring and summer and fall are really good times for me. I play in a lot of tournaments, so I have to sharpen my game, but it kind of goes into a dormant state during the winter.
Oh,
But
I understand.
yeah, it's getting better. Thank you.
Well, I
How about
played,
yours?
it's like yours. There are ups and downs, and I played with Mike Johnson and Mike Stevens and some other guys Monday, and I wouldn't tell anybody my score. So,
Well, you know what? I miss those Saturday and Sunday games that we used to have
yeah, I do too.
with
Yeah,
our Shaw group. Yeah, those were fun.
yeah, they were. Now, I understand that you have been doing a lot of traveling lately. And what are some of the places that stand out to you that you've been?
Oh, wow. We go a lot up to Massachusetts to visit our triplet granddaughters, and we take them to some fun spots while we're up there, um, up into Canada and Maine and into the, just within the United States. But my international travel has, I guess Bermuda stands out as a good spot. We had an excellent time over there, and I had the opportunity to visit a former roommate of mine who
Oh,
has married an Anglican priest, and he had a stint over there in Bermuda for 5 years. So we had a cruise over there and visited with them, and they got to show us the locals' view of Bermuda, and that was fun.
and I'll bet that's quite different from what most tourists see.
Oh, absolutely. But we're headed out to the Mediterranean pretty soon. So I'll fill you in on that trip when I get back.
Great. My brother and his wife do a lot of cruises, and they
Yeah.
just got back from the Mediterranean and are going again to the British Isles just to cruise around and look at things. And
Yeah.
we're going to go with them at the end of August. And Bessie is excited about seeing what she calls the home country in
The
Ireland.
home country. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's
Well,
it's
I'm
great.
looking forward to it. So,
Hmm.
Ginger, tell me about your educational history. Where you're from and where you went to elementary school and all the way up through your time at Auburn.
I started school in my hometown of Thomaston, Georgia. I attended Robert E. Lee Grammar School. And then Robert E. Lee, well, actually, the grammar school and the middle school were connected. It was all one through
In
the eighth
small
grade
towns,
back
that's not
then.
unusual, is it?
Yeah. So then I went to R.E. Lee High School,
Of course.
of course. And that's where I got a taste of Spanish. My sister had studied Spanish in high school with a teacher, one of the teachers there, and came home just, trying to speak Spanish and whatever. And so I got into it as well when I went to high school, although I did take a year of Latin. Um, but the Spanish teacher that I had was so much fun. And she had lived there in Puerto Rico for a while and just brought back a lot of authentic experiences with her. And it was fun, great fun. And I played basketball in high school and did quite well with that. And when I graduated, I went to Auburn and studied Spanish because of my high school Spanish teacher. And then I graduated and got a master's degree. I graduated early because back then, you probably remember the no, what do we call those? The achievement tests
Right.
that you took instead of CLEPing or getting ahead with ACT classes and SAT classes and things like that. You took an achievement test. So I scored high enough on those in Spanish. So I CLEPed the first year, first 3 quarters of Spanish, so I could actually graduate, from Auburn a year early, which I did. And so I started my master's and finished my master's there and got some excellent experiences. I was able to travel to Colombia and do my student teaching down there. And then I went to Madrid, Spain, and finished my master's in Madrid. So
So what's the difference in high school Spanish and Spanish like they speak in Madrid?
there's a lot
Yeah.
because the first time I visited Colombia, I was the only one in our student group who spoke any Spanish. So of course they shoved me to the front of the line every time we checked into a hotel or did anything that required Spanish. So the first night we were there, I was at the desk, the hotel desk. And the first thing they ask you is, what is your name? Well, they said it so fast and with such a perfect accent. I kept saying, como, como, what? So then after we had a good laugh, um, I really got to be fluent when I was in Colombia and took that over with me to Spain. So, I mean, it's just rough Spanish that you learn in high school then, but now Spanish instruction has changed so much. All foreign language instruction has, that students are more prepared to just go and do well.
I think maybe immersive is a
Yeah.
term that they use now.
Yeah.
Well, I never was very good at any of it.
I have I coach a teacher now at Pacelli who teaches French, and 90% of his instruction is in French. And it's fun to see how the students react to that, because at the beginning of every class, they'll come in and speak English, but by the end of the class, they're in it with him speaking French. No matter how rudimentary it may sound, they're at least listening and speaking something.
Right. My youngest grandson took French from Jennifer Robinson at Harris County,
Uh-huh.
and to listen to him do his cooking video in French with a Georgia accent was hilarious. Now he did well, I guess. Jennifer passed him anyway, but uh, I just thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. French with a Southern accent. Uh, Now, how did you choose teaching as a profession? That was a result of your high school experience?
I would say so. Yeah. My mother was a fourth grade teacher.
I had
And
forgotten about that. That's funny.
and my grandmother was a teacher in a one-room schoolhouse. My sister was a teacher. Um, but it just goes back probably to Miss Hogan more than anything. But when I was little, since my mother taught school at another school in the county, I would come home. I was a latchkey child.
I know the term.
And I would go down in the basement and I had a little desk set up, and I would pretend to be a teacher, and I would teach my dolls everything I had learned in school that day.
Or did they all pass?
They did.
That's great.
But it was instilled in me from an early age. Yeah.
I can imagine it was hard not to continue in that mold.
Yeah.
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 So I remember that you were our first magnet program coordinator at Dell. Do you remember that experience?
I do.
And where after you left, where did you go?
I went to Kendrick as the assistant principal there for
Yeah.
5 years.
And what did you learn?
What did I not learn?
That's right.
That was one of my greatest experiences in education. And I have to thank you for part of that because you steered me into administration. You kept asking me, what do you want to do 5 years from now? What do you want to do? Where are you going to be 5 years from now? But when that opportunity presented itself, I was hesitant, but in the long run, I was very grateful because it gave me some opportunities that I would never have had before. One of which was meeting and working with Ed Barnwell.
Right.
Oh, great mentor for me. He would come in and sit in my office every single afternoon at 4:30, and we would debrief on the day. And I learned such valuable lessons from him about patience and working with parents and how to negotiate the district and what was important, what was not important really in the scheme of things. And it was a great experience for me. I enjoyed my time at Kendrick and I met some fabulous teachers.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't trade that for anything. And then after Kendrick, I was sent to the district office to oversee Race to the Top. And that was it was a great experience for me personally because I learned so much about what I do now. I don't think it was rolled out well nationally or statewide or locally, but it is what it is. And we were obligated to do it once we accepted that $12 million.
Right.
So I really learned to manage me better during that time.
That would force you into that position, I think, that
Yeah.
you have to learn to take care of yourself.
That's true. And I am one to, if I ask you to do something, I'm going to do it along with you.
That's right.
I'm going to do it first and then bring you in there with me. But I did after a while. I really had to learn to manage gender. Yeah.
Good, good. You know, one thing I've noticed about the federal DOE initiatives is that they did tend to roll things out on a national scale rather than try it on a small level first.
Yeah.
It was that almost like they were convinced that they knew what was going to work even before they showed it to us.
That's true.
And didn't really care if we succeeded or failed as long as we attempted to follow their instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And they so often described it as what was it, flying, building an airplane while you fly it or something.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Or herding cats.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
what are you doing right this moment?
Well, after I left the district and retired, I took a position with the DOE. And I was training teachers and administrators with the Teacher Keys effectiveness system,
Right.
accountability system. And oddly enough, I trained all these principals that are in Muskogee County now. Marters and I talk about that all the time. She
That's
just says,
great.
"You trained me." So I know you know what you're doing. And then during COVID, they riffed the part-timers. So I left then and was asked to join the Chat Flint RISA team in their Georgia TAP alternative teacher program. And now I coach teachers in the Chat Flint RISA area.
That's
So
great. Great.
that makes me happy. I get to
Oh,
go
I
in
can
classrooms
imagine.
and interact with teachers and help them. And I hope um, give them some good support to get their feet on the ground to be effective in the classroom. Yeah.
Excellent. I can see where you would be a natural at that.
Thank you.
With your experience and with the background you have in teaching and in administration, I can see where that would be a great fit. Now, what differences have you observed between students now and students 25 years ago?
Um, Kids are kids, and they don't change in that regard. I mean, they will test you and they will push you to your limit. But students now, tend to be more open and speak more freely than students in the past. They are not afraid to tell you what they think. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with respect. Whereas we were brought up to respect the role of a teacher, they question it now. They are more, of course, savvy with technology than we were, or that we are still. And they want things done immediately for them. They want to see immediate results.
Yep.
They don't want to persist. So there's some differences that really do challenge teachers these days.
You know, one thing I've always noticed is that one thing that is the same about kids is their job is to test whatever
Mhm.
limits we set for them.
That's true.
You know, I remember we used to get so frustrated about dress code, and I remember distinctly one faculty meeting talking for an hour about what type of sweatpants were we going to allow. And that's when I decided that we would no longer major in minors.
Uh-huh.
That
Yeah.
it really didn't make any difference. If sweatpants were the biggest issue we were going to be dealing with, we
Mhm.
were probably okay.
Yeah.
What would you do if you had a magic wand to solve the cell phone problem in classrooms?
Oh my gosh, I've been in so many classrooms lately, and they have so many guidelines, the schools do, and some of the teachers have even come up with their own, from putting them in pockets at the
Right.
door to a basket to putting them out on the desk but face down. I mean, I don't know that there is an answer other than, if you can incorporate cell phones into instruction, and keep them off the phones with regard to scrolling and texting and Instagramming and all that stuff, tweeting, I think you have a better chance. And the other part of that is to keep the kids engaged during the entire class.
Right.
I know that's not going to be 100% effective, but I see so much wasted instructional time
Amen.
when I'm in classrooms. And when I point it out to teachers, they say, oh, well, they were supposed to be doing X, Y, and Z. I said, yeah, but they weren't.
And
You
whose
know,
job is that to enforce that?
that's right. And so one thing that teachers can do to help with that is to keep them engaged. And to keep them engaged, they've got to know their students and they've got to know what engages them. So,
Exactly. I don't know the answer to the cell phone thing, but I think you're right. Most of the time, the technology that they have in their hand is superior to anything that the school can offer.
yeah.
So they're kind of tired of, you know, what used to get us excited about when the teacher would roll the
The
movie machine,
projector.
yeah, the projector into the room.
Yeah.
But, you know, they don't think anything about that because
Uh,
they look at videos every day
uh-huh.
for far too long, I think. One
Yes.
thing I did learn, my grandson told me never put your phone in a basket with other phones
Yeah,
because many of those phones have the ability to transfer
they do.
contact or even
Hmm.
close proximity.
Hmm.
So somebody can get your data or even your credit cards off your phone.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
you know, just the things they know are amazing to me. Now, I do have my grandson's phone numbers on speed dial in case I run into a not technology problem that I don't have the answer to.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So what have you noticed about teacher shortages?
Ugh, it's severe and it's nationwide. Um, I think the state is trying to come up with very creative ideas about filling those gaps and that shortage here in Georgia. And I do wish that they would. I know that they are, though. I shouldn't say that. I know that they have reached out to superintendents and others at the local level to try and come up with some remedies for this. The program that I work with at Chatflint Resa, Georgia TAP, is the alternative program that is approved by the state to get teachers from business, other areas, to come into education. We provide the pedagogy and they provide the experience and the expertise. But what we're finding out is that a lot of these people think that teaching is easy
Yeah.
and let me just be a teacher. And, we so often say, close the door and let teachers teach. Well, that's true, but you've got to teach them how to teach first.
It's not something that comes naturally, is it?
99.9% of the time, it is not. And, it's hard to prepare a teacher for the behavioral problems that they're going to face in the classroom because there are so many. And society has just opened the floodgate and say, here, schools, we want you to handle this. Parents aren't capable. We're as a society isn't capable. So y'all handle it. Well, we can't and teach because we not only have to take time to handle those problems, we've got to teach teachers how to deal with those problems so they are able to teach.
I've I've thought for quite a while that my mother would have been appalled at the idea that teachers were supposed to teach kids all the things that she taught us at home.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So
I agree.
how many systems are there any systems that are offering bounties? Like hiring incentives, financial
Oh,
incentives
yeah, there are. The Muskogee is.
for which subjects?
Um, I can't answer that. I know it's the core subjects,
Okay.
but
All
it
right.
may be, it may be any teacher. But I know special ed is
Exactly.
an issue. But that's another thing too that I see that really, and I shouldn't say this, and so I won't. But it goes back to people coming into the profession for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And once they get into it, they realize, oh my gosh, this is so much work and this is not what I was cut out for. So then they become 8 to 5ers or whatever, and
Yeah.
they just leave it at school. And a lot of them are getting into it for coaching and finding out that the instructional part is taking more time than they thought. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's a mess.
One thing I credit Debbie Ball for teaching everybody in school was that PE is a real subject.
Sure.
And, and if you don't have lesson plans and you don't have a game plan for
Yeah,
how you're going to teach those classes,
yeah,
then they become nothing.
That's true.
Yeah, that
Mm.
there used to be the old joke about, what does it take to make a good administrator? And it's 3 losing seasons.
I've never heard that. I will say though, that I have had some amazing teachers in my experience with this alternative route to education. I've, in fact, I probably had more good ones than not.
That's
So
great.
we are getting some really good teachers in to fill places, but we need more.
Well, I think we're gonna have to come up with some more innovative ideas. I saw one the other day. Um, Betsy and I were in Tuscaloosa. Uh, the oldest grandson is finishing his 2nd year there, and, I saw in the local newspaper that the University of Alabama is offering at Tuscaloosa High School full tuition for people who will commit to be educators and stay in Alabama for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, now, something like that, that is a financial value that
Yeah.
a lot of people are gonna find it hard to ignore.
But
And
again, they have to want to be in there for the right reason.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. But, a full tuition at
that's
any
amazing.
university is
Yeah.
a lot better than ending up with student loans,
Oh, yes, for
even if they're
sure.
forgiven later. So so, have you noticed any other issues in public education that we can solve from our perch on high?
Oh my gosh, education is so political. I just it's hard to solve these issues that come up. I know we try really hard. We put money and support and training into it, but for some reason, it just often doesn't help the situation. I don't know. These issues with mental health and
Yep.
um, that really concerns me.
Oh, absolutely, and
Yeah,
I'm convinced that sometimes we create our own worst enemies
yeah,
by the social promotion policies that have been in effect for so long.
yeah.
I've also become convinced that the federal Department of Education is pretty much a waste of time. You know,
And our money, thank you.
well, the money that each state sends them could be kept at home and used more effectively
I agree.
if we didn't have to launder that 10% through them and have those bureaucrats that don't know much about teaching making decisions about teachers and teaching.
Yeah, and as long as we accept their money, we're gonna have to do that.
Well, that's right. Or figure out a way to end the requirement that we send them that money.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so much for pie in the sky stuff. So what's your 5-year plan?
I am past retirement age now. So I enjoy this RISA work with Georgia Tap so much. So I will probably stay in it another year. And then it's flexible. So I can travel and I can play golf and do what I really want to do. Plus keep my toe in it because that's how I love being in classrooms.
Sure.
I do. So I don't know, 5 years from now, I'll be completely retired. And I might just retire on a cruise ship because it is just as cost effective to be on a cruise ship 24/7 as it is in a retirement home or whatever. So I may sell this little plot of land and off I go.
That's not a bad idea. My brother swears by it. They
Yeah,
take at least 2 cruises a year,
yeah,
and, he says that, it's the single most relaxing thing, and he
yeah.
doesn't care if they do shore excursions or not. He can stay on the boat and eat all day and be perfectly
That's
happy.
true. That's true. Well, I
Yeah.
hope you and Betsy have fun on your cruise.
Oh, we're looking forward to it, and, she's investigating now how to convert dollars into pounds. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah. Well,
But
we're going the Euro route this time,
oh,
so
good,
that's different
good.
too.
Yeah, it is. So anything else you'd like for people to know about Ginger Ohlman at this moment?
Oh, no, no, I just appreciate you having me. It
Well,
was
my
fun to talk to
pleasure.
you.
My pleasure. And when I come up with some more questions, I'll get you back again.
Okay, sounds good.
Ginger, thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.